This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
I'm Mike Hebert, owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. Every day is game day, and we'll get it right when it comes to your roofing, construction, windows, and mirrors. Call Cantex Roofing and Construction today. Together, we are one serving you.
Good morning. It is the Monday before Thanksgiving, so it's a short week this week. So you got a lot of getting in and getting done so that you can get out and have some fun. Do you like that? Get in and get it done so you can get out and have some fun.
It's great.
So because Thursday is an idle day for most folks, and even the day after Thanksgiving, plus the weekend. So if you want to be able to do all that, you've got to get in, get focused, get your stuff done, check off your list, make sure you get all your reports in or whatever it is that you do, that you get that done. Hey, if you had something spectacular happen, or just something that you want to kind of cry on our shoulder about from the weekend, hit us up on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Go to the Double T 97.3 mobile app for that. It's presented by Happy State Bank. Visual Edge IT hotline is open too at 806-771-0973. I get this from the Yates Flooring Center chat line. I hope we're not satisfied with 6-5. We need to beat Texas. I don't think anybody's satisfied with 6-5, but I think kind of where you were to get to here says a lot about this team to be able to kind of pull itself up by the bootstraps and get a couple of wins and figure it out and get yourself to be bowl eligible. I don't think anybody is sitting here saying, "Oh, woohoo!" I mean, Coach McGuire himself on Saturday night said that when he got this job and talked to the team, he said the floor for this team, this program, is being bowl eligible. The floor, so it's not the ceiling. So I don't think anybody's. I don't think anybody's sitting here, celebrating that you're 6-5 and having to play Texas on Saturday. I mean, it's a winnable game. I mean, let's be honest. They got a ton to play for, and so do you. But they have a ton to play for, and from playing in a conference championship game and playing for the opportunity to potentially be in a college football playoff and being a couple of wins away from or at least one win away from a national championship game. So there's plenty on the line for them. I mean, they are beat up, but they did come up with a victory on Saturday in Ames.
Yeah, wasn't always pretty, but they were in control of that game for the most part, the entire way. Yeah,
so I think that they've got an awful lot to look at and go, okay, yeah, we've got plenty to play for here.
Yeah, I think they'll be two motivated teams.
Yeah, I think so. And maybe the thing that and Texas Tech is even a little bit more dinged up. Jalen Hutchings went out with a knee injury. Coach McGuire, this is Saturday, so now Monday this narrative may have changed a little bit, but on Saturday night the thought was that the ACL was intact and that they feel like that they should be able to put a brace on it this week and that he should be able to play against Texas. That was Saturday. Okay. So if something has changed on that, then that's after they've had a chance to take a bigger look at that. Another guy that was injured in the ball game was Dadrian Taylor Demerson. He didn't say he was dealing with a groin injury, so I don't know to the severity of the groin injury, but they couldn't get it loosened back up. But I think the feeling was on Saturday night that he would be okay to play against Texas.
Well, you could really use him.
Yeah, you could really use him.
I mean, he's just such a playmaker for this defense.
Yeah, no question. And then Bryce Ramirez didn't play this past weekend due to I think it was a stiff neck. And the thought is that he will play this week and that Jacob Rodriguez will not play to keep his red shirt intact.
Okay.
So he is not expected to suit up. And again, this was as of Saturday night. So we'll see how that transpires throughout the week if something else changes. So with Hutchings out, Duda Banks comes in, and Duda Banks is the guy that put pressure on their quarterback, hit him, that caused the interception of C.J. Baskerville. And Coach McGuire said after the game on Saturday night that really gave him a little bit of extra confidence, and I think just helped him with that extra point block. And said, his length, but just that his getting through and hitting the quarterback and causing that interception gave him extra good feelings. He didn't use those words, but he said gave him extra confidence and helped him with that extra point. He also said that they felt like that they were going to get a block based on he didn't say penetration, but based on kind of how things were lining up. And then he felt like that they were on the verge of blocking that field goal that hit the upright.
Okay.
They came real close to blocking that one. And obviously, once they look at the film, they would be able to maybe have a little bit better analysis of that. But that was the thoughts from Coach McGuire on Saturday night. So we'll get more from him throughout the morning. The other thing that was really, really interesting to me, what did you think of UCF's fake field goal that resulted in a touchdown? No,
executed well.
It did. I mean, that was kind of an interesting play, wasn't it? How he kind of just threw the ball up high in the air. And
they stole that from LSU, I don't know, probably about 6 or 8 years ago.
Okay.
And the Tigers ran it to perfection. Yeah, that was really cool.
It's funny. It's funny because in the post-game press conference, Coach McGuire alluded that they have something similar, and then he stopped himself. So I think we got something similar like that, and probably all coaches have something similar to that dialed up. But you said the execution is the key to that.
Yeah, early on in the game, it just felt like every button they pushed was the right one to push.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This from Mark. My son and I got to meet Gino at the game, and we were talking like we knew each other. He had a nice night, didn't he? With a 51-yard field goal there in the fourth quarter at the 6:13 mark. That proved to be pretty crucial for the Red Raiders. Getting
everything did is a 1-point game.
Right. Every point mattered. When it's a 1-point game. But man, it sure didn't look very good on that 71-yard pass play. They got some signals mixed up there, and as a result, he'll explain that because he was asked about that in the post-game press conference. But he did say that Chapman Lewis was where he was supposed to be, and that they didn't get the check right. They called it, they didn't get the check right. So as a result, that guy's wide open and going down the sideline there, and looked like the game was getting ready to be tied up with 5:30 to go in the ball game. But Duda Banks had something to say about that with regard to that. So that was good. We got to see Taj Brooks' dad right after the ball game there on the east side, and had a little conversation with him. He's pretty mild-mannered, but he was pretty excited. He looks like a smaller version of Taj. That's the second time after a game that I've run into him.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. And Braylon Lux's dad, I think I don't know if you're like this, like with your daughters. Do you have a tendency to kind of roam when they're playing, or do you stay stationary in the stands, or kind of where you are? Do you kind of walk around a little bit?
It depends. The tennis player a lot more roaming, basketball a lot more sitting. You're
focused because you're keeping some stats. Well, Braylon Lux's dad was on our row for a little bit, but I think he was moving around. But you can certainly understand that with,
sure,
your kids out there playing and you're nervous for them, and it's trying to get a win and get yourself bowl eligible, all that kind of stuff. It is 6:25 this morning here on the morning drive. Somebody says this 14-point dogs in Austin. O-line has to dominate. Okay.
This is the Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
We will have Lady Raider basketball on the air for you tonight on 100.7 The Score and on 107.7 Yes FM. The coverage begins at 5:30, tip time at 6. Ladies, I'm going to say tied a national record because I bet it's happened before. I don't know the specifics on it. when they held Texas A&M Commerce to no points in the first quarter.
Feels like that would tie a national record.
So it's one that'll never be broken. So I'm sure they share it with others. They outscored them 23-0 in the first quarter. It was 29-0 before it was all said and done. And they finally scored. A&M Commerce did with 8:04 to go in the period. Mary Delgado, you told me you and your family were taking odds and had a little.
Yeah, we had bets going.
Had a little game going on as to who was going to get the first one, and so that was. I bet that was a little entertaining. But yeah,
super entertaining.
They go on to win it 91-45. Did Texas Tech? They had 2 in double figures. Kyla Freelon had 14 and 11 rebounds, and Jazz Shavers also had a double-double. She had 14 and 10 rebounds.
When was the last time the Lady Raiders had 2 double-doubles in the same game?
Man, I don't know. I think it happened last year, but I'd have to go back and look. Off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you.
Well, those 2 are both playing well. So was Bailey Maupin. Those 3.
Yep.
Those 3 sophomores, that gives you a lot of excitement or hope for the future.
No doubt. Maupin had 17 with 5 rebounds. And then Jordan Merritt, in 17 minutes of play, had 13 and 5. She got knocked in the head and the nose. And
I wish we could keep her for a couple of years.
Boy, no kidding.
She got knocked in the head. Does she have a medical red shirt? We can keep her for a few more reels because of it.
No, they're going to need her later this week. I mean, I'm sure she'll play tonight. She had a little gauze in her nose, but I'm not sure what the total impact of that injury was.
Play 6 or 7 years like others have done.
Sure, right. Scored 50 in the paint and 24 off of turnovers on Friday evening. Well, it seems like a long time ago. And so they'll play UTSA tonight, team that is 3-1 on the season, and they come off of a win over UT Arlington on Saturday, 70-66. So look forward to that. I think what you're battling tonight is Las Vegas. You know, a lot of times right before Christmas, you're battling Santa Claus. I think tonight you're going to battle Las Vegas a little bit because they'll leave for Vegas on Wednesday and play there on Friday and Saturday. So you just don't want to get ahead of yourself. Don't get ahead of your skis tonight.
He says they like he's not going.
You don't want to.
Yeah, but I'm not playing tonight.
Let's keep it about the team.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Just buy right into it, Jeff.
Yeah.
I think that's fair to say. Just because there's a little bit tougher competition ahead of you, you're finally going to play on the road for the first time. So there's probably some truth to that. I can imagine that's what Coach Gerlich would be worried about, especially if you get out to a big lead in the game like you have in all these other games.
And they had
so far.
They had consistent scoring on Friday night. I mean, they had 23 in the first, 21 in the second, 23 in the third, and 24 in the fourth, and finally outscored somebody in the second half. And so, it's been the situation where they've been turning the ball over a lot, and which has led to a bunch of empty possessions. They turned it over 14 times, so that was better than what they had been doing. So we'll see what tonight brings for that. Man, I was really sorry for the Texas Tech women's soccer team yesterday. They played their hearts out against North Carolina after winning in penalty kicks on Friday night. That was certainly exciting to watch. Sat in the arena and watched the end of that on Friday night. And so they win it in penalty kicks, and then they play North Carolina team that's just deep in tradition. I mean, they've won like 22 national championships. It's craziness how they've dominated that sport. And it was 1-0.
Yeah, great game. Awesome season for Coach Stone's team. And man, just the atmosphere there on Friday and Sunday was phenomenal. I mean, it's just really cool, and it's just something that I hope that this program that's been really good for a long time, I feel like they got a little bit more pub this year, and obviously winning a Big 12 championship, obviously deserving of that. So hopefully this is something this program kind of builds on, and we start to see some of this kind of stuff being the norm.
It was a 71st minute rocket off the foot of Belle Simber to give them a a berth in the quarterfinals for the 34th time in their history. 2,558 watched that one yesterday at the John Walker Soccer Complex. All right, a couple things here from the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Somebody wanting to know how they liked the grass that they laid here at the compound last week. As a matter of fact, I was looking at that yesterday. I came by to do a couple things, and I was looking at the grass going, that looks really good. So I think you did a great job.
I think it's awesome.
Yeah, I think
it's so much nicer.
I think you did a great job. I was really impressed with how they were laying it and the guy rolling it, and then
I was jealous. I wanted to be out there helping. I like working with sod. It's fun.
Did you think about going out there? Did you have your yard gloves in your car?
I didn't.
So that's what kept you from going out. Okay.
That, and I didn't have any old shoes.
I got you. Yeah. Pepsi Man is in El Paso this morning. Guys, what do you think about our new mascot? I thought that was a nice little thing to do. They brought in the Arkansas Traveler mascot, the possum, to make an appearance and wave a flag there in the south end zone. And I had memories of Roof Raider from back in the day on the north end before we put up the giant scoreboard. Thinking that bell tower on the south end at the very top would be a good spot for Roof Raider in the future if they don't enclose it all in, which they probably will. Were you a fan of Roof Raider or not?
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, I always liked Roof Raider. Somebody says another reason Texas will be motivated is what was said by the commissioner in August here in Lubbock. Yeah, no question. We've talked about that, and that certainly will be a deal there. So we'll see.
The Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3 is presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Live. Good morning with Jamie Lent and Jeff McGuire. I'm Chuck Heinz. Take your thoughts and comments on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Go to doublet973.com for that, or the mobile app. Mobile app is presented by Happy State Bank. Thoughts also, we'll take them verbally on the Visual Edge IT hotline, 806-771-0973. So you can join us that way too, verbally. You like that?
Verbally, yes.
Verbally.
We like that.
Yeah. The passing game has been disappointing no matter who has been quarterback due to Kitley's play calling, but on the other hand, he's having to call plays that his players can handle. Okay.
I think, part of it is about the style of offense that you're running, and you've relied so much on the run game because that's what you do best, right? So I don't think the numbers by your quarterbacks have been amazing by any stretch of the imagination, and I do think the injuries have factored into you not being as air it all out as much as you have been in years past, but. And so they've kept those quarterback numbers down a little bit. But, man, I think you've had a really disappointing wide receiver core this year performance, if I'm being honest. And I think that's factored in as well.
Hey, Jeff, I hear your frustration. Can we just modify that to say the offense has been disappointing? I don't think Morton has been the reason. If anything, Morton may be second best only to Taj Brooks, the man. I would agree the offense has been painful to watch. Morton, the quarterback, has been solid, except for getting injured, missing the second half at K-State and BYU. Offensive line is good in the run game. Passing has been below expectations. I love our Big 12 record. Wow. There's a lot there. Let's hear from Joey McGuire. He was asked about Baron Morton's performance after the game on Saturday.
A really good job of our RPOs. We tried to come up with some stuff that we could get in rhythm, to make him really comfortable early in the game. But man, he did a great job. I mean, we had a long run that he checked to that we had a pass play, and then right there at the end, they were playing off, and we had a run play called. He checked to Corey on a hitch, and Corey, he's been so, he's Mr. Consistency and has done a great job. And so, I thought Barron, had a good night. The one turnover, the receiver's there. He just kind of throws it behind the receiver. Wished he would have got out in front of him because it was fixed to be a big play. But, I think you could tell with some of his throws that he's getting more and more healthy.
Speaking of Coakin, he had 4 receptions for 41 yards. Trey McCray had 4 for 55 yards. Xavier White had 3 for 77 and 1 for 49. Jamie,
Yeah, massive drop.
Yeah. That play there, your first drive, it's 2nd and 5 from your own 35, and they go deep to Xavier White for 49 yards. Ended up not scoring on that. You got it down to the 2-yard line, and you weren't able to convert and had to turn it over on downs.
Did we get that far down? Did the
hang on.
2? I was thinking we were just inside.
I'm sorry. You're right. It was 4th and 2 at the 8. 4th and 2 at the 8. But what I was going to say is that was the deepest ball I think he threw all night.
Okay.
And I kind of thought at the moment, it's like, oh wow, maybe his arm's better than I thought. And who knows? Maybe they had nothing to do. Maybe none of that had nothing to do with anything. But I don't really recall trying to go deep the rest of the evening that.
I would agree with that.
So maybe that was the.
But I don't know what to take away from that.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't know if it was what the offense or what the defense wasn't giving you or was giving you or what. But you went to a lot of different guys. I mean, you had 3 guys with 4 catches and 2 guys with 3 catches. Jordan Brown had 4 for 30.
Just think about how different Texas Tech football is when you're saying, hey, I had 3 guys with 4 catches.
I know,
and 2
right.
with 3. That's exciting.
I know. You used to be able to say 6 or 7.
Crabtree would have 16 in one game or whatever.
Right. No question. No question. I mean,
I thought Barron did a terrific job. I mean, especially on the TD pass to Mason Tharp, of keeping plays alive in the pocket. I thought he used his feet well. You think about a quarterback with good pocket presence, and sometimes you think about them knowing when to tuck and run. Well, I just thought he stayed alive in the pocket well the other day, or on Saturday, and kept plays alive back there, kind of like Mahomes would like to do. I mean, Patrick could run, but he just wanted to get outside the pocket and let something else develop and throw it down the field. And, I thought Barron did a good job of that on Saturday. Just not throwing deep down the field.
Yeah. And then on your second drive, you're also, stopped on 4th and 4. I really felt that second drive that was at the Central Florida 30, I thought you should have kicked field goal there. I thought you should have taken points there.
I was fine.
Okay.
Going for it. I thought Xavier should have caught the ball. That's what I thought.
Xavier should have caught the ball on 3rd and 4. It was incomplete to him, and then on 4th and 4, it was incomplete to Duran Bradley.
Yeah, see, that was my most frustrating throw of the night. Okay, first off, Bradley, you want to know why Jerome Bradley's struggling? I mean, he can't get off press coverage. He can't get off the line of scrimmage. All right, he's not physical enough. These wide receivers these defensive backs are punking him out there. I mean, he can't get off the line. To me, that's the biggest issue with him, and that's exactly what happened on that play. Yet Barron goes to him. Looks for all the world like if he catches it, he's still going to be 2 yards short on 4th down. Mm-hmm. You got to go somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that's a problem. The biggest issue is Bradley not being able to get off the line and even create any kind of separation from the defensive back. Yeah, Barron clearly was thinking, I'm going there, keyed on him, stayed on him the whole time. That play was just ugly all over the place from the wide receiver and the quarterback.
He was targeted 3 times. He had 1 reception for 8 yards. And it was 5 yards after the catch, just to speak to your point right there. So basically he caught it 3 yards past the line of scrimmage and went 5 additional yards. And he caught 1 ball on the night. Morton was 21 of 34 with an interception, had 2 touchdowns, went for 256 yards and 49 of them on that one play there to Xavier White. So that kind of tells you a little bit about that that performance on Saturday night. The other thing that really stood out to me was what you did right before the half, as you got a nice goal line stand on them.
Massive.
And forced them to go into the halftime tied at 38. Here's Coach Joey McGuire on UCF not scoring before the half.
Yeah, that was huge. There was they were down there. I think they ended up getting it down to the 2, and we were able to make a play for them not to get in, and the clock ran out. And so it was I think going in at halftime being 14-14, especially the way we played in the first quarter defensively, and then, the other thing, our first 2 drives, we go right down the field and, can't convert on 4th down. And so I think it was able for us to catch our breath and really think. I know it's cliche, but people say 0-0 being tied 14-14, it kind of started the game all the way back over.
If you look just at the first quarter stats for UCF, they got 188, Jamie, of 486 of their total yards in the first quarter. They had a huge first quarter. They ran 25 plays.
And that first drive was impressive, man.
It was.
They pulled all the stops out, and it was really cool. The quarterback jump pass 2 times was really creative and good stuff. As much as I hated it for the Red Raiders, you had to go, okay, man, tip of the cap there. That was good. Just the question was, okay, you're going to be able to sustain this kind of stuff. And, people on the chat line were frustrated with our defense. And I just thought to myself, we've seen the D make adjustments all season long. They'll figure some things out and things will change. And sure enough, it did.
Yeah, 39% of their offense was in the first quarter. So you figured it out and held them to just 9 points the rest of the way. So that was a good performance there by the defense from second quarter on.
Your daily dose of sports and fun. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Time now for Jamie's question of the day on Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3.
All right, I'm going to go right where you just left off there, Chuck Heinz.
Okay.
I really haven't said the B word very much. Because there obviously were serious doubts of whether you were going to get to go to a bowl game or not.
Sure.
But you are now bowl eligible. And something I haven't looked at all season long before this weekend, bowl projections are out there as well.
Yeah, they are.
When you start the season 1 and 3, you just kind of block those out. You see those come up in your Twitter feed and you're like, I don't want anything to do with that. So I'm going to ask you guys, it looks like all the projections have the Red Raiders playing in either the Independence Bowl on the 16th or the First Responders Bowl. They're on the 26th in Fort Worth, Independence Bowl being in Shreveport. And the other one, again, in Fort Worth, the First Responders Bowl. So my question is, which place would you rather have the Red Raiders go play?
Well, the later the better, primarily because it depends on how you want to look at this bowl situation. If you want to look at the bowl situation and let your guys that are going to sign early participate in the bowl practices, then they've got to be able to sign so that they can participate in the bowl practice, or at least some of them. So if the Independence Bowl, I believe, is on December the 16th, which is before the early signing period, which would keep anybody like that from being able to practice. The First Responders Bowl, is it in Fort Worth? Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. So would you rather go to Shreveport and kind of do something a little bit different, or would you rather be right there in your backyard? The problem with December the 26th is what takes place on December the 25th is what kind of attendance are you going to have? Now, you could make a day trip. You could leave here in the morning, go to the bowl game, and come back. Doesn't necessarily help the hotelers. There in Fort Worth. So I'm going to say this. I'm going to say Independence Bowl. That way you can, even though that they want to have some of the early signing kids participate in bowl practices, I think maybe it'd be a little bit more fun experience for everybody to go to the Independence Bowl. It would be probably more convenient for people here to go to the First Responders Bowl. It just doesn't seem as sexy. It was a long-winded response.
For all the reasons that Chuck just brought up, and he brought up a bunch they're right along the place where I'm thinking. For a completely selfish reason, I want them playing on the 26th, specifically so they can win. Because I need that for this day in sports history on the 26th, because that's one of 4 days I don't have, 3 days I don't have.
And pretty Texas Tech history, because you do not have Texas Tech winning
the 24th, 25th, or 26th are 3 days I do not have.
Have them winning anything.
I don't have. Well, I've given up on the 25th. I don't ever expect them to play on Christmas Day unless there's some random basketball game.
They played on Christmas Day, the Sun Bowl.
Lost.
Yeah, and lost to Oklahoma. Yeah, you need a win.
We don't talk about losses in this day in sports history.
Okay.
Not unless it's like, Patrick Mahomes throws for 87 touchdowns. That's what it would take to talk about a loss.
Wow, 87. That's a lot. I think there's a lot of different ways to look at this, and for fans or for players, or depending on who or for guys looking for this day in sports history tidbits. I mean, there's plenty of different ways to look at it. I'll be honest with you, Chuck. My care of whether or not early enrollees can practice is not real. It's non-existent as far as how high that is on my list.
I understand that. I mean, they have brought that up. Coach McGuire has brought that up.
That's fine. I get it. I'm worried more about the guys that are going to play in the game. Not the early enrollees.
I understand. They just look at the extra practices and what they can do for development and things like that.
Really, is that going to do much?
I'm just saying that those 15 practices, they value those, and they
for the guys getting ready for the game. Yes.
Well, but again, for the guys that haven't gotten to play a whole lot, and there'll be some of that will take place as well. I mean, again, I'm just repeating what was said. And
the best part about
I didn't ask for their opinion. I want your opinion.
That's what I'm saying. I'm going for the December the 16th. To not mess with Christmas. That way it stays out of the way of Christmas.
I love it. The 16th for the players, because I feel like they get to play in a bowl game, they get to finish things up, and they get to go have a real Christmas break.
Yeah,
that our football team doesn't usually get to have.
And coaches too, because the early signing period is December the 20th this year. So and then after that, I think there's probably a darkness period, from a recruiting standpoint, just to kind of help these guys help themselves.
I love it for the team. I also, the thought of going to Fort Worth, our team goes to the Metroplex and plays in Fort Worth, every other year and all that good stuff. So I just say take the team somewhere different. So my vote would be the Independence Bowl. Okay. Obviously, once we saw who the matchup was, that could swing my decision there, could swing which way I'd want them to go, because if it was a Power 5 bigger name that was playing in the that would be the matchup in the First Responders Bowl, maybe that would change my mind.
Okay.
But I just like it for the players and the coaches that they would get to have a somewhat normal Christmas break that they never get to have. Yeah. So I like the December 16th thing.
I had conversation with the Independence Bowl guy that was here. His name is Eric Berkeley. He was a really nice fella. He's been a volunteer for that Independence Bowl for a long time. He told me
you were so jealous of his jacket, weren't you? He had like a really prestigious looking jacket. He was standing behind me in the press box for a little bit watching the game. And it's a pretty big jacket. It must be really important.
Well, it had a little deal on there, and I thought it was pretty cool. But he told me at one point in time he was a player in the Independence Bowl, and he had the Independence Bowl record for interceptions by a quarterback. That has now since been broken.
Okay.
But he seemed like a really nice fella. Somebody says this First Responders Bowl is in Dallas at SMU.
Yeah,
okay.
I couldn't remember which one it was. It's kind of all the same to me.
Yeah, it's
that's my bad. That's my bad.
Metroplex, but still, the bottom line is, it'd be easy to get there if you wanted to go there on December the 26th.
And Shreveport's not that much. Shreveport's 2 hours from Dallas.
Right, and so right now the projection there is for Texas Tech and the Independence Bowl by some. But
the Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3 is presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Jamie Lent, Jeff McGuire, I'm Chuck Heinz. Great to have you with us today. Thanks for spending a part of your day with us. We're here until 9 o'clock. We come to you from the First United Bank studio and anxiously await your communiques on the Yates Flooring Center chat line or the Visual Edge IT hotline. Man, it was I thought the atmosphere Saturday was really good. I was going to be curious as to the student crowd. I think we talked about that a little bit on Optimum Game Day Live on Saturday. They hung in there, and I'll say this about the students this year, and we sit right by them. We sit just a few steps away from where they go down and all sit. And I can't tell you how many stayed the whole game for every game, but it wasn't the noticeable clear out that we've had in some years, at halftime or whatever. So, and it looked.
I think that's been that way all season long.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I don't think we've been a halftime leaving team or crowd all year long. So that's been a positive this season, I feel like.
Yeah, and I think the other thing too is that I thought the game atmosphere was really good. Enjoyed the flyover, the T-38s. That was awesome. Liked the possum thing. That was kind of cute. That they brought in the Arkansas Travelers mascot. And I said this after the game. I said this after the game that it looked brighter to me on Saturday, but it's been that same brightness apparently all season long. But the new lights, and we talked about this at the start of the year, have made a significant difference on the east side. And I love it when they go kind of all red in the third quarter. That's been fun, and people turn on their flashlights on their cell phone and things like that. I think that's been a new addition to what's going to happen, what happens there in the games itself. I'm anxious to see what the end zone is going to look like when it's all said and done, and how that affects the sound and the kicks and everything like that. I think that'll be fun. They're gonna start tearing out the northeast corner of the stadium. They're going to build another ramp, and they're going to put the visiting team's locker rooms at that end. So that'll start to take place pretty pronto. And then I think a week from today, they start tearing down the football training facility, and they're going to move the football coaches into the West Side Suites. So be a lot of moving parts going on over there. And to get that thing told.
I'm sure they'll find a spot for him to sit down and
hang his hat,
watch some video, some tape, figure out which recruits to bring in here next.
Well, I think they've got a pretty good list. It was fun to see Josh Young at the game too. He got a nice roar. He was ringing, banging Bertha, and then they introduced him as well. So I thought that was really cool that he was recognized. I know Josh lives here and is probably relative available, but he's a world champ now, so he's probably a busy guy. Did you have any chance to talk to him at all?
I did.
Any tidbits that you can share with us about Josh? Is he anything that stood out to you?
No. I talked with him and Jace for, I don't know, 2 minutes maybe.
2 minutes? Okay.
2 minutes, and, didn't wear him out, and just
said, hey.
Told him it was good to see him, and
okay.
They were with some friends, and they moved on their way. I said, I don't want to keep you guys, so
good to see.
Don't feel like obligated to stand here and chat with me, so. Yeah. That's usually the same thing you say to people, right?
Oh, yeah. I had lots of conversations with people at the Double T 97.3 Coors Light postgame show at the Overton on Saturday. Man, the place was rocking again after the ball game, and had some good conversation with some fellows from the Dallas area, one of whom listens to us on the Double T 97.3 mobile app, and one of his buddies is now he's downloaded the app, and he's gonna listen to our fine broadcasts of things on Double T 97.3. So that was pretty cool. It was fun. It was fun Saturday night at the Overton.
It's good. So the topic of conversation, was any of it like any of the games in the Big 12 surprise you this weekend?
No.
Was that the conversation?
No.
No?
No.
Man, BYU should have won that game against Oklahoma.
Yeah, they probably should have.
The pick six there at the end zone, at the goal line, a 14-point play, just a massive play in that game.
Yeah,
massive play.
And you talked about that on game day on I think on Saturday.
Besides our game, I thought the Kansas State and Kansas game was probably the most entertaining of the weekend.
I saw maybe a minute of that game, like the last minute. That I've had a number of people tell me they watched that game. It was two ranked teams. K-State won for the 15th straight time over Kansas, 31-27.
Yeah, Kansas held the lead much of the game.
Yeah.
After Houston got out to a quick start against Oklahoma State, I was hoping we were going to get an upset there.
Did not.
But that did not happen. The Cowboys put it on them late, really dominated that game. Texas and Iowa State, pretty pedestrian, kind of boring game for the most part. Texas in control the whole way.
26-16 was the final there.
Baylor, TCU, I didn't see any of that one, and TCU just blew out Baylor 42-17. So, Chuck, we've got 8 teams now that have qualified for a bowl game.
Okay.
Right? Texas, Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, Kansas State, West Virginia, Iowa State, Texas Tech, and Kansas have all qualified for a bowl game.
Okay.
Man, love seeing that 5-3 conference record for your Red Raiders.
No question. I mean, and would be great to get it to 6-3.
It would be awesome to get to 6-3.
And
so you have TCU, BYU, and UCF all at 5 and 6 have a shot this weekend. But I think UCF's really the only one that has a good shot. They're playing Houston this weekend. TCU is playing at Oklahoma this weekend, and BYU is playing at Oklahoma State. Obviously, the Cowboys have a lot to play for in that one. And then same thing goes for the Sooners with TCU. Oklahoma needs help, but they're still holding out hope that they could get into the conference championship game. So,
and they also play Friday. So, I mean, they've got to set the tone early to force Oklahoma State's hand. That could determine how Oklahoma State, let's just say TCU pulls the upset. That changes what Oklahoma State's mindset is in that game. Oh, well, now we're not keeping pace. Now all we do is just take care of business. We can relax a little. It's not we've got to keep up to get back ahead.
Sure. So it looks like my guess is the conference is going to end up with 9 out of their 14 teams bowl eligible.
Okay. And looks like Dana Holgerson's going to be back. That's what the owner of the Houston Cougars said, Tillman Fertitta. He said that he was going to be back.
He's the owner?
I'm being facetious there.
Okay. What is that?
He's donated an awful lot of money, so I think he feels like he owns the university.
This has been the Morning Drive Podcast, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Check out our library of Double T 97.3 podcasts at doublet973.com.